Hello, my awesome elementary artist. Today we're going to be creating these fun flower pictures because it's springtime and we're seeing all the beautiful flowers come out and blooming, and I wanted us to do something special for that. So we're going to be looking at an artist named Lisa Congdon for this, and this is a picture of her. Doesn't she look nice and happy there? Lisa started out as a public school teacher, so she taught in a school similar to yours, and then she decided she wanted to go back and take some art classes, and she became an illustrator, and now she's a very famous illustrator. An illustrator is someone who draws pictures for books, but she's also from Oregon. Let's look at that real quick before I show you some of her art. This is a map of the United States of America, and we live here in Mississippi. And Lisa lives all the way up in Oregon, which is in the northwestern part of the United States of America. It's close to the Pacific Ocean right there. So that's where she's from. It gets a lot colder up there than it does where we live. And I told you that she became an illustrator. This is one of her illustrations. So see the flowers there that Lisa drew for this. She likes to do a lot of drawings of flowers and a lot of drawings of animals also, lots of things in nature. And so this is very stylized, which means it doesn't look like flowers really and truly look, but you can still tell they're flowers. She puts her own style in this and uses her own creativity and imagination. And we're going to be doing some flowers that are similar to these large ones that she has put in this illustration. So let's go back to the one that I made. And for this project, we're going to be talking about line. You're going to be creating lines when you draw your stems and your leaves and your designs on your flowers. We're going to be making shapes. So we're going to cut out these circle shapes. We're going to be using repetition. So we're going to repeat these shapes throughout the piece of artwork. And we're going to use contrast. That's when things are very different. So if you have see how I have a yellow-orange background, I want colors that will contrast and stand out on that. And then we're going to use balance. So you see I have my flowers all throughout the painting. If I had them all grouped over here and all this empty, it wouldn't be very balanced. It would be very uneven. So we have to create balance by putting some flowers over here, some over here, so our painting looks nice and pleasing. All right, so to begin with, your teacher is going to have some pieces of colored paper. Just plain colored paper. It will look like this to begin with. You pick what color you want your background to be. You can pick whatever color, but try to pick a color that is light enough that your the black of your stems and leaves will show up and your little circles will show up. So I chose blue, and I have already glued down some of my circles, but I wanted to show you how I made my circles. Your teachers will have some of these circle templates, and a template is just a piece of equipment where you have all these different size circles, and you will put yours down and decide which one you want, and you'll trace it and then cut it out. So I have this one, and you can see right there where I used my pencil and I traced it, and I'm going to cut it out. And I want to show you when you're cutting to remember to go slow and turn your paper as you go. See how I'm turning my paper? I'm not really turning my scissors. You will have smaller scissors for little hands, but turn your paper as you go. Don't turn your scissors. And it's okay if you don't make it perfect. Just do the best you can. Okay. Now, I think it's really fun when some of the circles run off the page. See how you don't see that entire circle? So if that were going to run off the page, we would just cut a little straight line. So I'm just going to cut a little straight edge off of that. Put it over here, and then I think I'll put it up here. It'll run off the page. So I'm going to get my stick glue, and your teachers have some stick glue. And I'm just going to put some glue on the back of it. Put enough so it covers it good. And then I'm going to glue that down. Push it down and kind of press it down. All right, now when it's time to add the designs to your flowers, we're going to use crayons. Now, some of you in your classrooms might have oil pastels, and you can use those if you want, but I'm going to use crayons to show you. And I think I'll start with this pink one. So remember how Lisa Congdon's flowers, they had dots in the center and these lines that repeated all the way around. So I'm going to choose colors that are very similar to the color of my circle, but I want them to stand out. So this is a magenta, kind of a bright pink purpley color. So I'm going to get a darker purple crayon, and in the middle of my circle, I'm going to make these little dots. And I'm kind of pressing down hard. It's shaking the table a little bit and making the camera shake. But I'm pressing down and making these little dots in the center of my circle, the center of my flower. Then all the way around, I'm just going to make these lines. And see how I'm going back and forth with my crayon to make it good and dark and stand out? And go all the way around. And these are going to be like the petals of your flower. All the way till you get back to the top. Then I'm going to put my crayon back, and I'm going to get a white crayon because I thought it gave it just a little extra color, a little extra shading if in between my lines I put some white. So I did that for all of mine. See how I'm going in between those petals and just making some white lines. And for the white, you really do have to press down hard for it to show up, and you have to go over it a few times for it to show up on that paper. If you had a white oil pastel, if your teachers have any of those would do really good also. All right, let's do one more. I'm going to do the green one. So that's like a light lime green. I'm going to get a darker green, and I'm going to make my dots. So it looks good if you try to keep in the same color family. And then I'm going to make my lines. Just pick a color that will stand out. So if you had orange, you could pick a really, really dark orange or a dark red that's kind of similar. And then I'm going to go back again with my white crayon in between. Pressing down really hard on this part, okay? So you see how we do all of those. So after you get all of those done, I have to get all these little crayon pieces that fall off. So then after you get all of those colored, then you're going to get a black marker. I have a Sharpie, but you could just use a black magic marker that you have in your classroom. That'll be fine. And we're going to make our stems and our leaves. And so I left them black and it created contrast in my piece of artwork because these are all bright colors. So I'm just going to go in the middle of each circle and make a straight line that goes all the way down. If you want to do this with your pencil first and then trace it with black, it's okay. But I'm going to go straight down. Now you can make yours be a little curvy if you want. I just want all my stems to be straight, but you can do yours however you want. And then we'll go all the way back over here and start making some leaves. So think about how you can make different kinds of leaves. It's just a curve. I'm making these little small ones here. So leaves on this side and leaves on this side. For this one, I think I'm going to make these bigger ones, and then I'm going to put a pattern of stripes in there. Think of different patterns. Remember, patterns are repeating lines and shapes and colors in a piece of artwork. So I'm going to repeat my lines. And then on this side of the stem, I'm just going to make these little lines that go like this. Because these can be different, fun. Remember, they don't have to look like flowers in the real world. These are our stylized flowers. I'm going to make a line in the middle there. So you can make up all kinds of different ways you want to do your leaves. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to make these big leaves on this side. And this time I'm going to put dots. Make a pattern of dots in there. And when they're all different, it gives variety and it looks good. It makes your art look really nice when you have lots of variety in it. And then I think this time I'll go back and put some of these little slanted lines on the side. Okay, this time I'm just going to make these little lines that look like that. Those are like making kind of like the letter V. So you just be creative, and then I'm going to do one more here. I'm going to make these long leaves with a line in the center like I did earlier. fill your page with designs, okay? So that's the end. This is the one that I had finished. And if you want, you can go in and draw some other flowers in. You can stagger your flowers like I did, or you can make them all straight across. It's good for everyone's art to be different. And I hope your teachers will share these with me. I cannot wait to see what you do. I hope you have fun making your spring flowers. See you next time.